Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, well, it's what we do here. I mean, I'm not going to change, but I will say something about South Florida and Florida overall. There's a lot of the fan base that feels there was no NHL until their team showed up in 1993, which is fine, but I'm here to tell you that there was a league before that. And before I get to the comments here, or more comments, there was a show, a hockey show in Florida, which I don't view as our competition. I guess certain factions do. I feel we all work together growing the sport in Florida. That's what I think. But they did a top 5 fictional hockey player themed show because there ain't nothing else going on right now really to talk about. And they didn't even mention anybody from Slapshot. So, what? Top 5 fictional hockey player, and you don't have that? So, don't even mention Peter Puck, Dean Youngblood from the movie Youngblood, Ogie Oglethorpe. Serena and I agreed ours both would be Reg Dunlop. But theirs is the coach from the Mighty Ducks, Emilio Estevez, and the Tooth Fairy, The Rock. Stop. I don't know. We bring the historical perspective. Not everybody is going to. And I'm ready to move on.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Right now.
I'm wearing headphones, rocking it back old school radio days.
How about that?
And somebody said it looks like I'm plugged into a Walkman. And I remember when I got my first Walkman, because my brothers and I had to share it. And I was the youngest, so how often do you think I got it? And you had your case of cassettes, and then people started to crap on your music selection. And I'm like, then bring yours then! How many times did we have that conversation at parties?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Yes, it is. Thank you, big boy Sky Rick Regan. We're coming in hot on a football Friday. Let's go. I'm here in the South Florida studio. Moose is in the Toronto studio. It's a very big day today. The commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Stewart Johnston, will join us in the next segment number 2 of this hour, and Jim Barker from the CFL on TSN in hour 1. So we're ready to go. I was just going to, Moose is just sitting there. Listen, Moose, are you ready to jump right into it? Because I don't have a lot of time. This is just one quick segment with you. Are you ready?
I know. Let's go.
Okay, guys, hit the quick six show horn, please, so we'll get down to this. Please and thank you. It's Canada. I know it's the Stanley Cup playoffs, but the big story on a football Friday is the NFL draft. I don't care. That's what's blowing up my phone. Cam Ward went from a 0-star recruit to the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. He went to the Tennessee Titans last night, Moose's team. Travis Hunter cost Jacksonville a premium. The Jags traded up to take the Colorado Star and Heisman Trophy winner. Jackson Dart, the Ole Miss quarterback, was picked ahead of Shedeur Sanders, who, as a matter of fact, hasn't even been picked at all heading into round 2 and subsequent round 2 and 3 today. Sanders was passed over by every team that had a need for a potential franchise quarterback last night, even though some draft analysts had him going ahead of Cam Ward. The New York Giants had 2 chances to take Shedeur Sanders, but they took Abdul Carter, the Penn State rush end, at number 3. And then the Giants moved back into the first round and selected Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss, the running rebel, at number 25. So, Darren, we will get to the Stanley Cup playoffs, but it's a football Friday. Shedeur Sanders did not go. I credit the 14% who voted in our poll yesterday saying he's not going to go in the first round at all. Whoop! You and I both said he was going in the top 10. So that was something last night, something to behold, round 1 of the NFL draft.
Yeah, it really was. There was a lot of drama and intrigue. And to be honest, what did they say? It was the longest that the first round, all the picks had remained untouched, right? Where no trades had been made in the first round. Then all of a sudden, Cleveland traded down, and I could feel Browns fans being like, I'm like, what are you doing? You have a chance to get Travis Hunter and really change the trajectory of your organization. But as Kurt Herbstreit pointed out in the broadcast, he's like, yes, best players in the draft, all this and that, but you need a quarterback. That's who really influences everything. And so I understand. And they started getting some really great praise for making that trade because they got a great haul back. And they only moved down to number 5. Still got a great player. But, Travis Hunter is going to go to Jacksonville. They moved up. I think that was a bit of a shock. And then the big switcheroo was the Giants coming back into the first round. They got Abdul Carter, and now they got their quarterback. What a day for the New York Giants last night. I thought they maybe won the draft on day one.
Well, they could have had Shadur Sanders twice, as we've pointed out. I know they had him in New York for an in-person meeting just last week. So it was wild. And you asked, so last night I'm watching the NFL draft, but I'm also watching the Battle of Florida, which we got our hockey point coming up number 2. To be honest, based on the hype and the pageantry and everything that they did with the NFL draft, I would have preferred to have stayed on ESPN. You asked which channel I was watching because every channel had some coverage of the NFL draft. I was watching ESPN. I didn't really want to go back to the hockey game, but I had to because I was on a Panthers postgame show last night, so I really had to pay attention to what was going on. But with Shadur Sanders not being drafted, listen, I was talking to my buddies this morning, my neighbors, Ted, Harry, and Ronnie, and they all said, how about Shadur Sanders coming out and making a statement last night after round 1, basically saying this is not what we planned, not being drafted, but it's God's plan that I wasn't, so we'll take it and accept it as it is and move forward. Wow. My neighbor Ted's like, I couldn't do that. I'd have hid my face all weekend. I couldn't have done it. I'm not sure I could have done that. Is that, here's what everybody's saying, Darren. Everybody. NFL teams passed on Shadur Sanders because of his dad, Deion Sanders. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and I don't want to believe that, but I don't think like a lot of these guys think. So maybe that is the thing. People wanted no part of Coach Prime, and therefore they didn't draft his kid. Do you go along with that line of thinking?
To a point. I think, Deion's influenced Shadur, obviously. He's his dad, and he's been his coach in the last 2 programs, Jackson State and at Colorado with the Buffaloes in Boulder. But I think it's more about Shadur, and he's very brash. He's very flamboyant. He's very confident. He's cocky. He's got swagger and all those things. And you wonder what that's going to do to a locker room. And like it or not, you have to think about those things because he's going to come in and be the man and want to be the man and be treated like that. And you got a bunch of other guys in that locker room, alpha males, who are going to have to look at this kid, with his fancy watches and the cars, and he shows it off and he rubs it in your face and all those things. And you have to be okay him walking into the meetings and being that guy. Also, I think, we talked about this weeks ago. I would have drafted Shadur. I would have drafted him because of Deion, because I would want Deion to come in and be in my organization and be my next head coach. But you look at all these coaches are in all the draft rooms. They don't want to be looking over their shoulder. So, of course, they shy away from it because the coaches want to keep their jobs. So I think there's a little bit of that. There's so many things that go into this draft pick of Shadur Sanders.
Our comment sections are going off, and I love it. But this is a quick segment. CFL Commissioner Stewart Johnston's coming in next. So we'll get to all your comments, but it'll be a little later on in the program. But here's what sucks about this for Shadur. All of these extraneous things, we can at least agree he is a first-round talent. 34-16 all-time collegiately, has never missed a game, raised in the game, has the football IQ. He's got all of that. There's a reason. Maybe it's his dad that he didn't go. Maybe it is the brashness that turned people off. I don't know. You made a really good point about the alpha males. You walk into a locker room, a dressing room, it is a jungle, and there are lions of the jungle, and there are also sheep in that same jungle. It's not all lions. It can't be. And so Shadur, what did he say? He goes, well, if Cleveland takes me, I can turn around a culture. I can turn around a culture in New York. He probably told the teams that, and there's probably a very good chance he turned them off. But guess what? Who came to mind to me was Patrick Waugh. Patrick Waugh is a lion in the jungle, and that turns some people off, right? But he's also a winner, right? So what do you want? So that continues going into the draft. We knew that was the number 1 story. And now going into round 2 and 3 today, that continues to be the biggest story. It's not a bad thing. I feel bad for the kid, however, because he is a first-round talent. And if it is because of his dad, that he's paying as the son. And the last thing was I heard a former NFL quarterback say he wished that in his own interviews at the Combine, he was more brash and more bold, similarly to what Shedeur is. And I talked to an agent about that, an NFL agent who watches this show. He's probably watching right now. And I said, do you go along with that? The players should be more cocky? And he's like, no. He goes, I think humble and respectful is always the best way to go. So maybe that has bitten Shedeur Sanders too. Anyways, we'll come along on all of that because we are airing in Canada on the Game Plus television network, coast to coast, from Victoria to Gander, and in 32 U.S. states as well. Stanley Cup playoffs. Told you I could have been very happy to watch the NFL draft round 1 last night. That's what I wanted to do, but I watched the playoffs, particularly the Battle of Florida, and I couldn't believe what was going on in front of my eyes. Game 2 was almost a carbon copy of Game 1. The Florida Panthers blanked Tampa Bay last night, 2-0. They're coming back here to Sunrise to South Florida with a 2-0 series lead. Game 3 Saturday afternoon. Leafs are up 3-0. We all know this. They beat Ottawa 3-2 in overtime. A little bit of an upset happening, I think. Minnesota beat Vegas 5-2. The Wild have a 2-1 series lead, and St. Louis stunned Winnipeg 7-2. The Jets still lead it, but it's now cut to 2-1. I guess because Game Plus is anchored in Toronto, we should talk about the Leafs. I'm going to tell you something. They are who we thought they were. They're a wagon, Darren. I don't know what you're hearing around there in your peeps from the GTA, but they are who we thought they were. Yep, the Leafs, they're rolling.
I watched the game out. I was out on the town last night, and
I could hear it in your
Leaf
voice,
fan.
yes.
Yeah, it was a late one. And then had to stay out watch the Jets. Yeah, couple of sidewalk darts. You know how it is, right?
Oh,
Stress. It's a stressful time.
But yeah, chain smoking. But you know what? The Leafs fans, they said, this feels different. They said something feels different. I said, that's Craig Berube. That's Craig Berube. He's been there. Yeah. We all seen the video by now of Hockey Night in Canada of Mark Savard getting really excited on the goal and Berube snaps at him. We don't get that excited yet. A lot of work to do, right? He kind of looked at him, and he's been very measured since on the Leafs bench. But honestly, that's what you want in these playoffs. That game, first of all, Matthews scores. Then Brady Tkachuk scores. It goes into overtime. So your stars are going. All the main characters are showing up. You've got a little drama. But the Leafs never seem too worried in the game. In the past, I've seen them kind of panic, grip the stick a little bit tight. They never seem like they're panicking, and that seems like a very a good sign of maturity. And they end up winning the game in overtime on a one face-off and a quick shot. So they're up. And Game 3 feels like a swing game. You said Minnesota, they go up 2-1. Felt like a swing game. I hope for the Jets fans that Game 3 wasn't a swing game in that series, but they can really swing the momentum because all of a sudden it's 2-1. And if you're the team that was up 2-0, now you're looking over your shoulder. If the Leafs lose last night, I think Leafs Nation is looking over their shoulder and getting nervous. But instead, they're up 3-0 and feeling pretty good.
I was going to say, let's hear from you, Winnipeg. I got a printout of our top cities for viewership sent to me yesterday, and I should look to where Winnipeg is in that. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but like what happened with the Jets getting spanked last night 7-2? That we've just said Darren was watching the Leafs. I was watching the Battle of Florida in the NFL draft. I didn't catch the Jets and the Blues. Freddie from Winnipeg writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line, 902-518-3033. Switch to Progressive and you could save a bunch. Freddie says, yeah, Jets lost. Let's move on to Football Friday, shall we? He goes, number 1, surprise Shedeur's not picked yet. Number 2, new CFL commissioner working to listen to the people. A very important trait in a leader. Number 3, looking forward to Seth freaking Rollins announcing the Bears pick next tonight. And number 4, got some tickets to the Bombers and Stamps on July 18th. Let's go, Bombers. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta, writes in. He says, Dion is the only coach Shedeur has ever had. Whatever team takes him needs a strong head coach. I thought Pittsburgh was a perfect fit. Should be fun tonight. Oh, yeah. Man, the NFL they couldn't screw up even if they tried. On the Shedeur thing, Nelson writes in, he's watching in the Queen City, and he says, how embarrassing is it that they had a custom-built draft room with legendary plastered everywhere for him to slip that far? I don't think we saw that coming. And again, this is not Shedur's fault. If he's cocky and brash, can you blame him? Do you think it was his idea to set up that backdrop? I saw it with the microphones on there, all set for when he gets drafted, and then he doesn't. What I will say, and I want your opinion on this, huge balls to come out and say, do a YouTube video after and say, this is not what we had planned, but this is what God wanted, so we'll accept it and move on with a stiff upper lip. Huge balls. Now, I'm not drafted him, so it was very impressive. I don't think many people could find it in themselves to do that. Very impressive by Shedur Sanders.
Very hard to do. That's a tough thing, especially when you are that confident and outgoing and you've built the personality. But, everybody can look to Tom Brady and how far he slipped and where he ended up getting drafted in the 6th round. Everybody can look at all these quarterbacks. And as I mentioned yesterday, all the lists, they show the MVPs, the best quarterbacks in the game. None of them were taken first overall. None of them were the first quarterback taken in their respective drafts. So now it's the time to put in the work and show the world that you're better. The only thing, that really is unfortunate, but it's not really that unfortunate because he's got lots of it, is the farther you slip, the lower the payday is when you sign as a rookie, because they've got the pay scale and all those contracts are pretty much set in stone based on where you get drafted. He's probably a little disappointed about that, but you know what? Now we'll see what he's made of when he finally gets picked.
Brent in Wellington, Florida is watching. He says, the poor kid is a victim of his father's arrogance. Nobody wants that sideshow that comes with him. Joshua Dorr here in South Florida is watching. He says, Rod, are you watching the Cousins and Stolar's nonsense? Hang on. We have less than a minute in this segment, and I want to address it with more time than what we have here. So Moose will be coming back in, well, it's up to you. For sure, hour 2. If you want to come in earlier than that, you can. But we have the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Stewart Johnston, lined up, and we don't want to keep him waiting. So Moose, get ready on that. Okay, Cousins and Stolars. You love these little series within the series, don't you? We'll be back in a moment. See you, Moose. You got an extra long break here, so use it wisely. We're live on a Football Friday on the Game Plus television network, coast to coast, and in 32 U.S. states as well. We're also streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Hockey
honky-tonk legend Mark Chestnut. I'm gonna get alive. Celebrating 35 years of music. I just wanna hold you close. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. I'm all boom, boom, boom. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Broadcasting live from Studio 23 on a Football Friday. Hour 1 is brought to you in part by Canadian Blood Services. Give hope to patients in Canada. Register online at blood.ca/get swabbed and spread the word amongst your family and friends. Well, we do love the Canadian Football League here in South Florida. It's our distinct pleasure to welcome the 15th commissioner of the CFL, Mr. Stewart Johnston, to the RP Show, making his RP Show debut. Stu, welcome to the program, sir. Congratulations on the posting. How's the first 24 hours been?
Hey, Rod, thank you. It's great to be here. It's been a whirlwind. It is. I don't know what I expected coming in, but it's been a wild 24 hours. Start, with a media conference and availability. Talk about the league. Talk about my enthusiasm and passion for football. But I got to say, I started my first day yesterday in a quiet green room ahead of the media conference, and the staff here at the league office presented me with a game ball with my signature on it. And that was a pretty cool way to start my journey here with the CFL.
Congratulations. I saw that. I'm going to need a new one here. I got an old signature on this one. That was shipped to me by your guy, Lucas. But I'll tell you what, I watched the news conference on CFL Plus, which, by the way, has been seamless for me ever since it was introduced by the CFL. I'm sure you guys had a hand in that with TSN. I thought it went great. I think it was 23 minutes long. How did you feel the introductory address went?
I really enjoyed it. It was it was an opportunity for me to stand in front of not just the media in front of me, but all of you watching on CFL Plus and give hopefully a little taste of what I'm thinking about as I start this adventure and how excited I am and the growth opportunities that I think are in front of us, as well as a number of the challenges that we need to make sure we're tackling head on.
Well, I tell you what, as I was watching it, I was like, please, guys, don't ask my questions. Please don't ask my questions. And they didn't. So I got a few, Stewart. Well, one is since it's NFL draft weekend, and I know you guys is coming up next week, but do you ever envision a CFL draft which is fan attended? I'm sure there's reasons that there has been. It was over 30 years ago. Is that something that would ever be on your bucket list?
Yeah, I don't know if I can say specifically a fan-attended draft is straight up a top priority of mine. However, it would fit very much in my thought process of building significant tentpole events in the off-season. I think the NFL has done a fabulous job of creating enough events and talking points that keep the sport relevant 12 months a year. And I think that's something we at the CFL should continue to look to emulate. We do have some touch points, whether it's combine draft and so forth, but I want to have Canadians and CFL fans around the world talking CFL 12 months. I know you do, but I want all of them to. And it's a cool draft event certainly could be one of those ideas.
I guess we got to make everybody fans because that's why we talk about it all the time. We're fans. And, you know, Jim Barker has said on a recent show, he's with us every Friday, and he'll be up in hour 2 today, that you had negotiations with the NFL with regards to television contracts with TSN. So my next question on this is, how do you envision the CFL's relationship with the NFL? Where is it at, and where do you see it going?
Well, I've only learned of how strong the relationship is at the operational level, right? Game ops, the medical teams, health and safety, really strong relationships with the NFL and their counterparts there. Lots of the communication lines are wide open, lots of information sharing, lots of best practice sharing. And that's really comforting to me. I think perhaps at a more exact level, there hasn't been much of a relationship in recent years. And I have a long history with the NFL and negotiating many contracts and being, creating Bell and Bell Media as the home of the NFL, as well as the CFL over the last number of years. I think a relationship with the biggest sports league in the world that happens to play the same sport as yours can only be good. That doesn't mean a partnership is inevitable of any kind, but a relationship is important. Lines of communication are important, and I am looking to use the relationships I do have to develop those further.
Yeah. Being adversaries, I don't think would be a good idea. I'm not saying you are. I don't think that's a road, though, that we would want to go down.
I agree. I think that I just think the sport of football, no matter how many downs you play or what rules or how many players on the field, sport of football is outstanding. In all of its forms, and I do think we are complementary in many ways. And we should look at ourselves that way. So no, I'm absolutely not looking at any other football leagues as competitive.
Yeah, outstanding. Well, I'm going to probably jump around on some of my questions, but my co-host here, Darren DuPont, had this one for you, and there's a million from the viewers. Trust me, I'll get you out of here after 15 minutes. We could go all day, but Darren says, what is your dream broadcasting deal? Your next one with the league and the rights holder. What's your dream deal, as much as you could tell us?
Well, I certainly have a framework for what I want to see my dream deal deliver, and that's an optimization of that media deal. And what I mean by that is, I know most folks, when they think about a media deal in a sports organization, and for a major pro sports organization, the media deal is obviously an important plank of how the business gets run. And they often look straight to the revenue piece. And of course, that's incredibly important. So if there are 3 areas I'm looking at in optimizing a deal, it would be maximizing revenue, it would be maximizing reach, and it would be delivering us relevance against growth potential audiences. And if you want a specific on that, younger audiences, but also diverse audiences. Who can help us reach those audiences? I'm so confident in the entertainment value of our product that if we can get it distributed in the right way, I know that will be successful.
Well, listen, I'm not just buttering you up. There was a lot of things you said in the news conference yesterday that was heartwarming to me. Number one is that the product's great, which we all knew. Why do people want to pick it apart for whatever? It's not. The product is tremendous. And when you said that expansion's not a priority, I bring this up because Scott in Vancouver's watching. He says, are we allowed to talk CFL expansion with the new commissioner? Stewart, I have a moratorium on this show. We're not talking about expansion because it's not happening. And you confirmed that yesterday. So thank you. Hopefully it probably will come up every day in your life now, though, right? I'm getting asked about it.
It's certainly been. I've been asked a number of times in these 24 hours that I've begun since I began the job, and I've repeated what you heard, which is no, it's not a priority. I think a leader of an organization, any type of business, one of their absolute key roles is to determine the allocation of capital. And by capital, I mean human capital, human attention, human effort, and financial capital, where you're spending your money. All of us operate within limited capital resources, whether you're a massive telco or you're a sports league. You always have limited resources. Where you're going to allocate. I want to allocate our resources against things we can control, and things we can control, include determining how to take an unbelievably entertaining product and make it more entertaining, how to deliver it on platforms where people will be able to consume it. How do we innovate? How do we develop technology that will innovate against, data enhanced broadcasts or analytics or player safety, where innovation comes there? And then how do we ingrain ourselves in the communities even more so than we have in the past, especially at this time? I know you're in South Florida, but in Canada, there's a wonderful sense of patriotism going on right now, and a lot of focus on community. And I truly believe that the Canadian Football League delivers against that passion that we're seeing in the country. So those are things we can control. I don't know if we can control expansion right now.
Nor should you. There's other issues, like chasing after expansion money and stuff with a foundation that could be stronger probably isn't the best idea. Now, you're a broadcast guy. You come from the broadcast world like me. I think that's why we speak the same language here. We have a large U.S. viewership. Carlos in Indianapolis is watching. He writes in, he says, was the game ball signature the moment when it sank in? Or has it sunk? Was that the moment for you?
I'd say that was the starting point of it sinking in. Although I will say at the same time, it felt surreal. I tell a story that when I was a kid, this is from the heart story. When I was a kid, 9-10 years old, I begged my parents for an official CFL game ball as a Christmas present. And I knew, those aren't cheap. Even way back when I was 9 years old. And I said, combine it with Christmas, birthday, and next Christmas and make it one gift. That's how much I wanted to have an official game ball to play with my brothers and go play catch. And so to see that delivered, it had an element of being surreal. But boy, did it then sink in. It really said, that is my name. It says commissioner. And then I jumped into the media conference, really felt, I'm now in the role. So I'd say yes, all of that combined had it sink in.
Only 15 guys have had that. That's
Only
a very
15.
small group, right? That's pretty cool, Stewart. I apologize to the viewers. We're not going to get to all of them. We'll try. But I wanted to ask you this personally. You referenced flag a lot yesterday in the 23 minutes. And I don't think Canadians realize how awesome it is. Maybe it's because that your daughter's playing it that it came on your radar. We broadcast the U.S. National Championships in Charlotte for USA Football, and it's so entertaining. I don't care if it's 6-year-old girls or former college and pros. It's entertaining. Clearly you know that.
Rod, I saw it. You heard me talk about my daughter. She just joined. For those of your listeners and viewers who didn't see what I said, but 14-year-olds, grade 9, all girls team, all girls high school league, and she just came back from every practice and every game with the biggest smile on her face. So it's entertaining to watch as a parent or as a fan of more elite level, but it's so entertaining to play. And then you add the fact that you don't have the expense of equipment. It's pretty easy to get going and get a team together or a league together. And I think, Rod, I've heard, I know of you and your background, and you even just said it on the intro of the show. You love football, and if you are like me, that if kids get footballs in their hands, they will fall in love. It's just that good a sport. And so, yes, I am hugely optimistic and ambitious with the sport of flag football.
Well, it felt like yesterday you just blurted out, football is simply the greatest sport in the world. Like, did you have that written in your notes, or did that just come to you? And you said it with such conviction. I'm like, oh, he believes this.
No, I believe it. No, that wasn't in my notes. I was feeling the moment, and I do. If I can tell you a story, I've been blessed in my previous career to attend the Masters golf tournament a number of times, and that is maybe one of the most beautiful parks you've ever walked. And in the middle of that course, there's a massive, multiple acres expanse where there are no golf going on. And every time I'm there, all I think about with these professional golfers all around me is I wish I had a football. I wish I had a football to throw it around in this amazing, beautiful area. So I'm in Augusta National and I'm thinking football. It is just, and the sport is incredible, but just playing. I want kids playing catch. Yes, it came from the heart.
Right. Well, I felt like it did. So thanks for explaining that. And as you know, as the CFL, not just football, the CFL is huge here in South Florida. So we're big fans. And I apologize to those that we couldn't get the questions in, but you're a busy guy and we got time. You know the TV business. We got to get to a break. So Stewart, thanks for this. Congratulations again. Was there any quick message for our viewers that maybe didn't come across yesterday or something that you would have wished you'd said?
No, I think I was happy with kind of the conversation that we had from the podium there. Look, I love the fans are the lifeblood of this league, and I am looking forward to going on a cross-country tour, listening to fans and team presidents and GMs and partners. We are in a state of continual improvement. We will never reach an end goal because we want to improve every day. And that is improving in entertainment. It's improving in the efficiencies of our business. It's improving all the way. And the fans are super important to give us feedback on how we can improve.
How about that?
Well, I look forward to bumping into you in a stadium. I come home in the summer, and I go to as many CFL games as I can. So, Stewart, congratulations again. Thanks for the time. You got a great one in Lucas, which you know. And
I do.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
The 15th commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Stewart Johnston. Now you know. I didn't get to all your questions, but maybe we can kick them around when we come back. Jim Barker coming up in hour 2. We're live here on the Game Plus Television Network, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy your
Live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? I feel like my buddy Joshua Dorr down here in South Florida. I love bringing everybody together. Geographically, spiritually. It's a football Friday. I have no idea. Did Moose come back, or is he still out having a drag? No. It's fine. I can handle it. I just wanted to know if he was waiting in the wings. I got it. No. Because I've got... Usually by most Fridays, I'm ready. I'm ready for the weekend. Like, oh, get me out of here. But now I'm feeling good today. I don't know why. Maybe it's because of that great interview with the commissioner, Stewart, Johnston. But I got all these notes. This chicken scratches of everything. I didn't even get through all of my topics here. Rich in Edmonton writes in. He says, I'm excited for June 29th. No more Mark Chestnut ads.
How about that?
You bite your tongue. Mark Chestnut, he's in my top 5. I can't wait for that. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, the NFL, Wilson football is fine for them and Tom Hanks' volleyball buddy in Castaway. I missed something there. I joined the conversation late. John Ohm says, great interview. Thank you, John. It's always the interview guest that makes it great. Did you know that? Wayne in Victoria, BC says, I'm definitely a fan of Commissioner Stewart Johnston. It sounds like he's a no-nonsense person. Again, I apologize that I couldn't get to all of your questions for him. Like, for instance, Nelson says, it really feels like the TSN experience has changed marginally since 2008. How do you leverage your past experience to push your media partners to up the viewer experience and storytelling? He just came from TSN. He was part of what it's been since 2008. He probably thinks it's great. Just saying. Utah Darren says, as a U.S. fan, I was disappointed to see the regular season games on CBS Sports Network only to not see the playoffs in the Grey Cup. Can this be remedied? I don't know. This is some veering way off the road of what any other show would be talking about today. And I feel like we covered the NFL draft round 1 quite well earlier, and the snub of Shedeur Sanders, we opened the show with it. But as far as I get this here when it comes to hockey fans in the States about streaming, I'm going to tell you something, Canadian viewers. You don't know how good you have it. With TSN, Sportsnet, Sportsnet 360, you don't know how good you have it. Because down here, it is not easy necessarily to find the games that you want. And for Utah Darren, who's a CFL fan, it's dang near impossible. But the thing is, here's why there was an issue. All year long, we had the CFL games more than ever on CBS Sports Network. It was great. He just said, but as the playoffs hit, they weren't on. Why? because college football was on. CBS Sports Network is going to air college football ahead of the CFL. Hello, come on. They would rather watch Appalachian State and West Virginia than a CFL game. They just would. It is. I can't explain it. It's just what it is. So we go to CFL Plus. And it was there. You know that, right, Utah, Darren? And the reason I want to ask you all, a lot of you are sitting here watching streaming right now. You understand that's where it is, right? Just because you can't point your button at your remote at the TV and hit a button and get it, it might take a little work. It's 2025. We understand that, don't we? So go to CFL Plus. That's what I did. I mean, geez, Louise. You know, we do this live Panthers Lightning show, which I have a lot of great comments, side notes here that I want to get to with Moose when he rejoins. But there's Panthers fans in Dallas bitching that they can't get the games. I mean, well, then don't live in Dallas. Move back here. Or get off your wallet and purchase ESPN Plus for whatever the hell it is. $30 a month. You get all the NHL games. And CFL Plus is free. So many people want to sit and just bang on the CFL for all kinds of things, which, hey, in some regards, they make themselves fair game. Not arguing that. Streaming games is not one of them. And did we not just understand with Stewart Johnston, he's a pretty sharp guy? If there's one thing this league is going to have locked down moving forward, it's broadcast. We're good there. You know, and I've liked all the commissioners, save for Jeffrey Orridge. And I don't know if that'll ever be healed on either side. But the thing with Ambrosie is why I will always, I like Randy Ambrosie. Guess what? There's people that don't like him. And it kind of annoys me that people were blowing up my phone. And I mean a lot of people. Well, Rod, Randy did this, this, and this. He's this type of guy. He's been good to me. There's people that don't like me. But guess what? I'm a great guy. Randy was good to me. Unfailingly. So he and I are good. The thing with Orridge, it wasn't even Jeffrey Orridge's fault. It's like Shadur Sanders being Deion Sanders' fault. Kid, it's not his fault. Jeffrey Orridge should never have been hired. He knew nothing about the CFL, didn't care to learn the history. I had a problem with that, a big problem with that. I made it known and got fired. The original writer for CFL.ca was me, and I got fired, which was fine. It didn't bother me. But when my daughter came home from school and she's like, Dad, did you get fired by the CFL? That's what they were saying on the playground. That pissed me off. John is watching in the Pacific Northwest. John Barker, Jim's brother. He says, pretty sure I watched 90% of the CFL games last season. Me too. What are we bitching about? I watched more CFL football last year than I ever have. Because guess what? When you're working in the league, you're traveling, you're working, you don't have time to watch all the games. You just don't. And now I'm not. I can watch all the games. Way easier to pick winners and analyze when you don't have an affiliation to one specific team. And I watched more games last year than ever, just like John Barker, so I don't get it. Cardinal Ryan, member of the clergy like myself, writes in, he says, he's in Saratoga, New York. He says, I enjoyed the interview with Commissioner Johnston. Thanks to Rod and the team for putting it together. We are a great team. Colin in Ottawa writes in and he says, got to get onto one of those huge streamers, Rod. They throw money around like it is nothing on shows no one watches. So you are telling me they don't have a few million to throw to the CFL? Well, Stewart Johnston's job with TSN, he was the VP of Content and Sales. His job at TSN was to maximize revenue. And from what I've seen, he did a pretty damn good job of that. So with the money that Netflix is throwing around to the NFL, what else was on there? The Tyson Paul fight. They got the money. We need to build up the desire to watch the games. That's what it needs to be on more than just TSN. Sorry, but I've been saying that since 2007 when they went solely in bed with TSN. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. But you're right. Boy, this is going fast. We'll be right back with a mini overtime. Jim Barker coming up in hour 2. We're live here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Broadcasting from beautiful Studio 23. It's a quickie here, mini overtime, and I didn't even get through all my topics, but that's why we went to just one guest per day. When it's the commissioner of the CFL, you make exceptions. So let me tidy this up at mini overtime. The Toronto Blue Jays are in New York tonight to face the American League East rival Yankees. The Jays have lost 5 in a row, including a 3-game sweep at the hands of the Houston Astros. Jose Barrios gets the start for Toronto, while New York counters with Carlos Carrasco. We've hardly talked NHL hockey today, but that's okay. It's a Football Friday. The Montreal Canadiens are looking to avoid an 0-3 series deficit when they host Washington in first-round Stanley Cup playoff action tonight. Montreal fell 3-2 in overtime in Game 1 before dropping a 3-1 decision Wednesday. The Edmonton Oilers are also staring down the barrel of an 0-3 deficit and in need of a win when they welcome L.A. Elsewhere, New Jersey hosts Carolina. Now might be a good time to tell you our poll question today for EMJ Marketing is, are the Oilers done? Transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. Are the Oilers done? Last I looked, 63% of you saying, yes, they are. Now, having said that, it's in my notes here. So Darren cut the clip of me talking about how it's not anywhere near over for the Edmonton Oilers. I guess it's going off on TikTok. And Moose wanted to read some of the comments from the viewers of TikTok. I don't even have a TikTok account. I tried it. It's disturbing. I don't like it at all. Delete. But so Darren was reading me what they had to say. A lot of people agreed. A lot of people don't agree. Welcome to my life. The Oilers aren't done. It's just the way people are, right? Tampa Bay Lightning are down 0-2 to the Florida Panthers. Coming back here to Sunrise, just for spits and giggles last night, because it was a late night for me. I went on a Panthers postgame show as an analyst. And so I'm reading comments on the Tampa Bay Twitter feed. And their fans, you guys suck. You suck. Should have never got rid of Stamkos. Why did I do that? The sports update is brought to you by Heavy Gym. Heavy Gym isn't just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Step into the gym that's changing lives. Find out more at heavygym.ca. I don't know what I just did. I just hit a button on this new computer I got, and everything just went, oh, my God. It just zoomed in. I didn't even want it to. Hey, if that you want to talk about a first world problem. There are 3 games on the NBA playoff slate tonight. Boston visits Orlando, looking to take a 3-0 lead in that best-of-7 series. Indiana's in Milwaukee, aiming to do the same. Pacers up 3-0 on the Bucks. And the LA Lakers visit Minnesota with their series tied 1-1. It's kind of a shame that more of you aren't into the NBA because I enjoy watching it, but I don't necessarily enjoy talking about it. I feel like we have a nice home here in football and hockey. And a little baseball doesn't mean we can't enjoy the NBA playoffs, right? Miami Heat and the Panthers are playing at the exact same time at home on Saturday, 1 o'clock. Who scheduled that? But their fans aren't really the same. Scott in Moose Jaw writes in regarding the Jets getting flattened last night. He says, the Jets came out flat, just like my ex-wife.
Oh, no.
Glenn with 2 N's writes in. He says, Rod, can you ask the commish if he plans to do town halls with each fan base before the season starts? Thanks, Glenn. Sure.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
legend Mark Chestnut.
I'm gonna get alive.
Celebrating 35 years of music.
I just wanna hold you close.
Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin.
I'm all boom, boom, boom. So
June 28th at Temple Garden Center.
brother jukebox.
Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Right now.
I'm wearing headphones, rocking it back old school radio days.
How about that?
And somebody said it looks like I'm plugged into a Walkman. And I remember when I got my first Walkman, because my brothers and I had to share it. And I was the youngest, so how often do you think I got it? And you had your case of cassettes, and then people started to crap on your music selection. And I'm like, then bring yours then! How many times did we have that conversation at parties?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're ready for a lot of fun here in hour two as we rock and roll into the weekend on a Football Friday, episode number 1483 of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show and Canada's only daytime sports talk show here on the Game Plus television network. But in the USA, where we are in 32 states, we're one of many. So I appreciate everybody for joining us. Let's bring in the Moose. Moose, we got some questions and comments and stuff that'll carry us through right up until the end of the show. It'll be very easy, okay? So just relax. And let me just say this before we get to the CFL stuff. We had the CFL commissioner last hour, Stewart, Johnston. I asked him your question, and if you weren't watching, I'll tell you what he said. But the biggest story, can I ask you this? Rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft going in Green Bay today. The drama is all around Shedeur Sanders because he didn't go last night. That's the biggest story in the NFL today. What other stories are there?
I know, right? That's the biggest one. I mean, when it comes to the NFL and the draft, I was curious at pick 21 last night when the Pittsburgh Steelers came on the clock. And I thought, this might be the move because Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed. We don't know what he's doing. Maybe they're going to take the quarterback and kind of figure that out. But you take the quarterback, and then Rodgers says, well, I don't want to go there with another young quarterback, so then he doesn't sign. Like it's a game of chicken. So I'm curious if they get to the clock again. I'm curious for Cleveland, New Orleans, maybe. So that is the big story in the NFL, no doubt.
Well, actually, you know, for the viewers that are all geeked up about the NFL draft, I'm serious about the question. What are your stories past round one? Because we had months of Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Cam Ward talk, all the rest. And that's out of the way now. And Shedeur Sanders didn't go, so he remains the number one story. But what are the others? And Darren just said what he'll be watching for. What will you be watching for, NFL fans? Because let's be honest. It is the biggest league in the world. Everybody seems to have an opinion. But I just feel like after round one, interest level really does drop off. The diehards are into it. of course. But I feel like you kind of lose everybody else, which we'll move on to other things because there's enough channels and shows talking about the NFL draft here. We had the commissioner of the CFL, Stewart Johnston, on last hour. And just before I asked him your question, I asked him one of mine. And I said, how's your relationship with the NFL currently, and what would you like to see? Dude, he was very open with all of his answers. But he goes, I was happy to know that we have a very close working relationship at the football operations level with the NFL. But I knew that from my years in the CFL. The equipment managers exchange information. The personnel people exchange info. The coaches go back and forth across the border all the time, every year. The football ops people have a very close relationship. But as Stewart said, he goes, at the executive level, it could be better. Open that up to whatever you want, but none of that surprises me at all. How do you feel about that answer? And he wants to make it better. He wants to bridge that gap at the executive level. Pretty revealing, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think it's good. Like, sometimes it's good to just put your ambitions and your visions out to the world, and it's a big risk. Nobody wants to do that and then fall short. But hey, and nobody at this level too, you want to posture and make yourself feel like a big deal. So I know the CFL doesn't want to come out and say, hey, look, we want to have this relationship. We don't have a great relationship maybe at that level, the executive level, and we'd like to make it better. Where in the past, maybe you'd get we got a great relationship with the NFL. We're there with them, and it'd be a lot of posturing. But he was okay just coming out and saying, hey, it could be better. We want it to be better. We want to improve that. I think that's great. It's okay to not be at the mountaintop. It's okay to not be at the same level as the NFL. Admit it and say you want it to be better. He's saying a lot of the right things and coming at this from the right angle. I'm impressed.
Well, he was very honest. It seemed to be. And I hope that continues before everybody's like, shh, you can't be saying these things. But guess what? He's the boss. Who's going to tell him that? Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in and he says, pick 21 shocked me too, Moose. I think Shadur is being blackballed now. His mouth got in the way. Well, Tony, you missed, obviously, the start of the show. We spent 8 minutes on the opening round of the NFL draft, and what all the pundits are saying, like 100% of them are saying, it's not Shadur's mouth, it's his dad's mouth. Deion Sanders overshadowing his son is why Shadur did not get drafted. We talked about it all an hour ago. So I don't want to go over it again. But the fact that I don't know enough, I haven't watched Shadur Sanders enough, but I know enough to know he's first-round talent. Top 10, I don't know about that, but he's first-round talent. There's a reason he didn't get drafted in the first round, and everybody's pointing the finger at his dad. As far as what else we're watching for this weekend, Carlos in Indianapolis says there's still the question of where Curtis Rourke lands. I know he's a lower round projection, but still a bit of a story for the likes of us. Yeah, Indiana quarterback from Oakville, Ontario. They're saying 4th round for him. Rob in Las Vegas writes in. He says, very impressed with the new CFL commissioner. Great question regarding fan attendance at a CFL draft. My wife and I attended the NFL draft and events in Vegas in 2022. We had a blast. But he said, right now, not on the radar, a fan-attended draft, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. Your question was, what's your ideal draft broadcast deal? Which, to be honest, I didn't think he'd answer it. Did you see his answer? One that makes us a lot of money. That's the paraphrase of what he said. I don't know if you're watching that or not, but that was basically what he said.
Well, I will give him the benefit of the day. He did say, not just money, reach, other audiences, and it doesn't just include traditional media too, which we know. But I was wondering if he would say, we want to involve more networks, we want to get more properties involved. Like, he didn't get that, he didn't go there, and I wasn't sure if he would or not. But yeah, I mean, that's to me right in front of him, right? I think, what is it, another year on the broadcast deal, and then it comes up. I'm curious. That's a big thing on his list of things to do right in front of him. I know he's got a long-term contract, so he's going to have some time here, years to see his vision through. But when you look at, we asked, what's Randy Ambrosie's legacy? What's going to be the legacy? I think this next broadcast media deal, whatever it looks like, could be Stewart Johnston's legacy or one of his big things he'll hang his hat on.
Yeah. I feel like it's a misnomer that there's a year left on the current deal. There's a year left on the NHL deal. The NHL and Sportsnet didn't wait for that, and they just signed an $11 billion deal. Why wait to the last minute to let's get it done now, and it'll go in effect next year. That's my take on that. But you're right. He's a TV guy. We'll see what he does. Nelson, I want to clarify something here. Nelson's watching. He says, it takes a great leader to admit a fault. A weak leader is a chest pounder. Yeah, but Stewart Johnston's been on the job for a day. It's not his fault that the CFL and NFL don't have a relationship at the executive level. It's not Stewart Johnston's fault that 6 reporters showed up for the news conference yesterday in Toronto. That's the one thing I said to you guys at our morning meeting. Everybody dumped on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, let's say in 2019, for the 30-year drought. It wasn't the 2019 Bombers' fault that they hadn't won a Grey Cup in 30 years. It's Stewart Johnston's done nothing wrong. He's been on the job for a day. He's got a lot of stuff to clean up. And that's not all pointed at Randy Ambrosie. This league's made a lot of mistakes for a long time, okay? Don't sit there and think this is going to be easy for him. He says he's going to ease into it. I got news for you, bub. Probably not. To hockey on this Football Friday. Jim Barker's coming in next, by the way. I had all these things written down. Number one, the Oilers are home tonight, trailing LA 2-0. Our poll question for EMJ Marketing is, are they done? 63% of respondents are saying, yeah, they're done. You told me that my comments yesterday, you put them on TikTok, the video of me saying the Oilers aren't done are kind of going off. But they it doesn't have universal support. What are you seeing there, Moose?
Yeah, a little bit of a mixed bag. A lot of people, Oiler fans, are happy to have somebody in their corner shouting from the rooftops that, hey, they're not done. Yes, say it louder, right? And others are saying, Rod, they're done. They can't stop a beach ball. They're done. So we'll see what happens tonight. Look, this is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to get better or it's going to get worse. That's it. That's not news. That's not a big statement. But if the Oilers in that madhouse of Rogers Place in Edmonton, if they score first and get that crowd into it, that could be match that ignites the flame and gets them rolling. I think they got to score first tonight and roll. Just like St. Louis did in the game against Winnipeg last night at home. And maybe it's a swing for the Oilers.
Yeah, they're not done. Oh, Carlos in Indianapolis. Thank you, Carlos. He says, you said you wanted to talk about some Stolarz story. I appreciate you saying that. So game 2, the goalie for the Leafs, Anthony Stolarz, was abusing, who was it? The Senators forward in front of the net, like abusing him. I haven't been watching as much of that series. Are you following the Stolarz? I guess, did him and Nick Cousins get into it last night? Which,
was
by
it
the way,
Cousins, or was it Ridley Gregg? Clark might know. I can't remember which one. Which of the two it was.
In game 2, I think it was Ridley Gregg. Stolarz did everything but chop his head off in the crease. I'm always going to defend the goalie. So I saw that. But did something happen last night with Nick? And by the way, it's 1:11 Eastern. Usually it's Carlos pointing that out. It's 1:11 Eastern, 11:11 Mountain. Apparently something happened last night with Anthony Stolarz and Nick Cousins, but I don't know because I was going back and forth between the NFL draft and the Panthers and Lightning. So if you don't know, we will move on. It's fine if you don't.
Yeah, last night I'm not sure what they're referring to, but they're go to game 2 and letting Stolarz have his way in front of the net with the hacks and the blockers, and you have a lot of people that are writing in and commenting on social media like, how is this not a penalty? How are the Leafs getting away with it? Well, in game 1, he was in the crease trying to give it to Stolarz and get under Stolarz' kitchen and knock him off his game, and a few things that maybe the Leafs didn't like. And I think in game 2, it was a little bit of, okay, we let him go after Stolarz in game 1. So we're going to let Stolarz give him a few shots here. We're going to watch, make sure it all evens out. These are all the games within the game, that they let it all balance out. Did that affect the game? Did it create a scoring chance or take one away or give a team an unfair advantage? No. Okay, so we'll let one guy do his thing. We'll let him get a little bit of revenge and let's move on. We don't need to call a penalty in this situation. And that's playoff hockey, man. Tough playoff hockey, and the goalie got his pound of flesh back. Sure, it's good.
Did he ever? Well, it's funny because there's just so much talk about officiating, and I hate that because 10 different people will see one play 10 different ways. So what the hell? We're never going to agree on it. I was amazed with what Stolarz was allowed to get away with in the crease, because if that was the other way around, they'd have put Ridley Gregg in jail. But the goalie's allowed to sit there and abuse him? Great, cool. I don't get where the refs are coming from, and I never will, so who cares? I wanted to tell you this, though. In the Tampa Bay, Florida game, Brandon Hagel, our good friend from Saskatoon, former Red Deer Rebel, I don't know if you saw him clock Alexander Barkov. He got a 5-minute major for interference, which I didn't even know was possible. Barkov just wasn't looking. It was like hitting a fridge, and Hagel's just a little guy. I'm sorry, he's your size, Darren. Not to say you're little, but you know what I mean. He's probably exactly your size. He laid out Barkov. And he got 5, and I thought that was a little excessive. The Lightning TV host, I can't remember her name. I was just with her 2 nights ago at the game 1. Can't remember her name. But she put on Twitter today, she goes, you wouldn't believe the amount of threats I've received for saying this shouldn't have been a 5-minute major. I can only imagine that it was from Panthers fans. The Panthers fans are enraged at Hagel for the hit on Barkov and for just suggesting it's scary. It's a scary time, man. There's some real kooks out there. Have you noticed?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's playoff time, man. The emotions are running high. And so you're going to get all this stuff. I don't know. It's what you get. You just got to know what to read, what not to read. But yeah, they're going wild. Every little thing is the biggest thing this time of year.
Yeah, well, it's. I guess I used to say being a public person. I've been a public person since I was a teenager on the radio. So I don't know what it's like to not be a public person. Yet now that people are on social media, they've become public persons themselves, right? So it's like you can make an outlandish or any kind of statement, but it's just kind of scary, especially here in Florida, if you're trying to make a comment. It's a dangerous place. It's not like Canada. Everybody yips up there with 0 repercussions for what you say. Down here, it's a little different. Somebody might put a cap in your ass. Very good chance. Real quick, 3 games tonight. You beat me last night 2-1, so congratulations. I'm still leading 7-6, however, on the playoffs. Washington at Montreal tonight. Who do you like?
Give me Montreal to get one in the bank here.
I think I will, too, go with Montreal. Carolina at New Jersey tonight. Canes for me.
Yeah, me as well.
And the all-important one, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? The Los Angeles
Give
Kings
me
at
the Oilers
Edmonton
tonight.
Oilers. Okay, baby, I'm going to take the Kings.
They're not done. They're not done.
How about that?
That's the game of the night. Hang on. I know we got.
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Let's get it going. I meant to bring this out, Moose, on the Cats and Bolts podcast, and I forgot, so I'll bring it out on the RP show.
All right.
They're not done either. Okay. Have a great weekend, Moose. I can handle this the rest of the way.
Okay. Have a great weekend.
You too. The CFL on TSN's Jim Barker and next, and we're going to talk NFL draft with him and Commissioner Stewart Johnston and whatever you would like when we return here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcasts are found.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit shaniatwain.com.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, it's a Football Friday. A thank you to our viewer, Nelson, our VP of Sim Events. Nelson Hakowicz has pointed out to us that Calvin Pickard is in the starters net for the Edmonton Oilers. Looks like he'll get the call tonight in Game 3. Hour 2 is brought to you by Culligan Water. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit their website at culliganregina.com. Okay, let's please bring in the CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. And, Coach, for the offseason, ooh, Dougie, there's a lot to talk about for the offseason in football, isn't there? Where would you like to start?
Wherever I just saw you interviewed Stu. That was a great interview. I listened to his press conference. Your interview went a little deeper, which was great.
I appreciate that, man. Like I said, I'm listening to the news conference going, don't ask my questions. Don't ask. Nobody did. So it was perfect. Well, I think a lot different than those regular reporters, Jim. But I'm fascinated to get your take on Shedeur Sanders not being drafted last night.
You know, I thought Nick Saban said it best when he talked about how the media sets these expectations for the fans. And people who are working for teams, they're not talking about who they like and who they don't like. And I've been in it long enough to know that you might not talk to someone kind of like Jacksonville, with the kid they drafted second, with Hunter. They didn't talk to him. Yeah. Hunter. Anyway, so it's not out there what the teams think. And I think that's what's important. This is all media creation that Shedeur Sanders might have been first, might have been second, might have been third. And yet I think when you look at it, does he win? Yes, he's won wherever he's been. 75% completion ratio. That's not bad. He had a very poor offensive line. He played in a system at Colorado his last year with Pat Shermer, who was a former offensive coordinator. So he's got a lot of positives. How he interviews, how he comes across, I think he is different because who his dad is. And that makes him different in the eyes of everybody interviewing him as to what kind of leader is this guy going to be. And again, I think that when you're talking about a quarterback in the first round, you're talking about a guy that you're basically, I'm not going to say hand the keys to, but you expect him to eventually take that car and drive it. And my prediction is that there's somewhere where there's question marks. The one that surprised me was the Giants, because I felt like that would be a good market for him. If anybody, I think that kid could probably handle the pressures of being a Giants quarterback, and I thought that might be a good fit. And to watch Brian Daboll in that room when they made the trade, I thought for sure it was going to be Shedeur Sanders, and then they picked Jackson Dart. But the look he had was like, yes, we got the guy we wanted, almost like they were afraid they might get stuck with Shedeur Sanders. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I think Shedeur Sanders is a fantastic player. I really do. I just think there's a lot of things about him that none of us know. We don't know how he interviews. We don't know what those people who interviewed him felt. And if you owned a football team or your job was on the line, do you want to turn the keys over and give him the car? And, obviously nobody did enough to make him a first-round pick. Now, if he's not picked in the first 4 or 5 picks, I could see both the Browns, although the Browns just went through it with Deshaun Watson, and whether they see that as a similar type of guy, I don't know. But the Raiders just make sense to me because I know that he has spent a lot of time with Tom Brady. And Tom Brady and Dion are very close friends. And that one wouldn't shock me if he's there when they pick. I think they pick 6th in the second round.
A lot of intrigue today, but let me ask you this. Based on what you know of Shedeur Sanders, you're a GM, Jim, of an NFL team. Mm-hmm. Are you drafting him based on what you know, or would you be scared off by his dad? Because I'm sure you've heard the coverage today. Everybody's saying, no, nobody's taking him because they don't want to touch Dion. How true is that, do you think?
I don't believe there's a lot of... I don't believe that's a true factor. It's not like when I was in Calgary where Federic was the owner and his kid was a player. It's a lot different. Is Dion put pressure because he could become a head coach in the NFL? Sure, that puts pressure on a Brian Daboll. Is that as soon as the kind of pressure, we talked a little bit about it when you had Trey Ford as the backup last year to McLeod Bethel-Thompson, and the kind of pressure that when McLeod didn't get wins early. Well, if you draft Shedeur Sanders and you're starting Russell Wilson, how many losses or does it take before the Shedeur Sanders, we need to put him in, that becomes cumbersome. It really does. It's hard to develop a player like that because he wants to play and fans want to see him play. That Jackson Dart, it won't make a difference. If he sits there for 2 or 3 years and learns how to play behind Russell Wilson, nobody's going to say a word about, boy, we need to see Jackson Dart. But when that's Shedeur Sanders, complete different story. And they might be afraid of that more than they are of Deion Sanders coming in and taking their job and that kind. I don't think that I could never feel that way where you're worried about somebody coming in taking your deal. Again, it's he's a dad.
Yeah, and that comes with its own set of problems. You've dealt with dads of players for years. I can't see it either. But again, I don't think like a lot of people, so I'm not saying they don't. Doesn't seem right to me. Utah Darren writes and he says, I don't get why everyone is so shocked that Dart was taken before Sanders. I'll just say I didn't see Jackson Dart's name on any mock draft. I didn't see Ole Miss anywhere near a conference championship. Were you surprised by that? That he went as high, Jackson Dart?
I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised. But once they took him, I mean, I like Jackson Dart. I liked him a lot. But he and again, his background, he's been at SC, and then he goes to Ole Miss and plays for Lane Kiffin in a very pro style of offense. I think he's prepared for what's coming next. He's got, he probably runs better than Shedeur, got a little bit stronger arm than Shedeur. Is he as accurate? I doubt it. Does he have the same kind of swag? No, he doesn't. And there's a lot of positives to the swag Shedeur has as long as he's winning. And again, I think that when you look at players, you look at what are they bringing to the table? And what Jackson Dart is bringing is a guy with a lot of tools, but no pressure. Russell Wilson can go out there, and he's not even got to worry about Shedeur Sanders there, who to me would do to Russell Wilson what Trey Ford did to McLeod Bethel Thompson in terms of the pressure and the media of the Canadian. Why is the Canadian quarterback not in? And happened to VA at the end of the season in BC when they had to make that decision who was going to be the guy. Well, if Nathan Rourke is not a Canadian, is that pressure the same? No. Well, Shedeur Sanders is unique in that he brings that Canadian type of pressure a Canadian quarterback brings up here down there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And so tell me, just because it's draft time and the CFL draft is next week, and I hope we have time to get through all of this, but tell me a zany draft story, because as Cowboy fans, we remember 2014 when the Cowboys the personnel people had to hide the draft phone from Jerry Jones, or else he was going to take Johnny Manziel. They're like, Jerry, no. Right? But we know that story. I'm not sure how many people do, but what zany things have happened at the draft table for you that an owner might have got involved or whatever?
We've had a couple of them. I had one where actually it happened in the morning of the draft, and Dimitri Zupas was going to go to Edmonton, and we made a trade with Edmonton for him. Before the draft even happened. So he was sitting in Danny's office and had to drive to Calgary to get to us by the time of the draft, and we were able to introduce him like he had been there all along. That was a fun one. Then we had one of the things that happen all the time that people don't understand. So when you draft a player, you got a lot of people. You got scouts telling you what they think. You got coaches telling you what they think. And we had coaches a coach who didn't want a specific player. And we when we did our mock draft, it turned out we had a chance of getting this guy in the second round. He didn't want him. So we watched film with him for 3 hours the morning of the morning of the draft. And finally, he said, okay, I understand. I see where his value is. I understand if he's there in the second round, why we're going to take him, and I'm all in on it. Okay, and that's. I mean, all you can do is leave a meeting like that united. So the draft comes, and sure enough, guy comes up. Our second round pick is him, and he mutters, not really under his breath. He goes, that guy will never step on the field here. And our president was sitting right next to him. So obviously, I hear about it at the end of the thing. I bring the head coach in. We talk about it. He wanted to fire him right there. Fired him the next day. So the coach actually got fired for, being disloyal. But that is one of the most difficult things. The more people you ask for their advice and you want things to be collaborative, but you also have to understand somebody's going to make that decision. And if you take a guy a coach is adamant against, the chances are that guy's never going to get the opportunity that he would get if that coach was 100% in his corner. It's human nature. So, yeah, I've had some wacky things happen, that's for sure.
All right. Well, people don't understand. I've told you, my dad was a scout in the NHL for 26 years, so it's the same from sport to sport to sport. I get it. The draft is your Super Bowl. It's the personnel people's Stanley Cup. It's what you've worked all year for. And in Sask, we had a coach literally knock the GM out of the way on draft day and start YouTubing players and picking them himself. I'm not joking. And our head scout was sitting there. He's like, what the hell were we been scouting all year for? If you're going to sit here and YouTube, what are we doing? Like, it's wild. I'm sure that doesn't surprise you. I'm not going to name any names.
Not one bit.
but the CFL draft is Tuesday night. Nelson would like to know what you think is going to go down with Curtis Rourke Tuesday night in the CFL draft.
Well, I think a lot of that depends on what happens tonight. I think he's got an outside chance of being drafted late tonight. If not, the earlier he's drafted on Saturday, tomorrow, the earlier he's drafted, the later he's going to get drafted in the CFL. Will he get drafted in the CFL? Boy, I don't know. I think I watched a whole bunch of film of this guy, and I think he was playing on a bad knee. He's so accurate. He's got, one of the things you look for is that they don't, like Mitchell Trubisky, one of the things he does is he drops the ball down, and it takes forever to get out. Carson Wentz, the reason he leads the world in quarterback fumbles is because he drops the ball way down, takes forever. Curtis Rourke has got a incredibly quick, gets it back and out quickly. He's very accurate. He's 6'5", and I just think the number one thing I look at in a quarterback, and this goes back to Zach Collaros, when in high school they only lost one game. This kid wins. Rourke leaves Ohio, goes to Indiana in the Big Ten, and they not only win, they win like they've never won before. There's a lot to be said for that. And I think it gets glossed over way too much. So I'm not going to be shocked to see him go tonight. I know everybody's saying he'll go, fourth or fifth round, and that's very possible. But I could see him going as high as the third round because I just think there's a lot of positives to that kid. He's got a great elusiveness back in the pocket. He's a true pro style quarterback, and I think he's a fit for the NFL. So again, what happens to him Tuesday? A lot will depend on what happens tonight. Same with Taylor Elgersma. Taylor Elgersma is the same thing in that I doubt he's going to get drafted. He might be a seventh round, but he's probably going to be a priority free agent. Now, how much money is he going to get? You want to know how much money is he getting to go somewhere, because then you're going to know, are we going to have him this year, maybe next year, or there's a good chance we're never going to see him. And that's where Curtis Rourke is. Taylor Elgersma, maybe not as much, but with Curtis Rourke, I just don't know what else a guy can do than what he did, leaving Ohio, going to Indiana, and putting that team on the map football-wise with playing in a brand new system with coaches he didn't know. And I found that really impressive, what he did. And I just don't think it's been talked about enough in terms of Curtis Rourke. So I'm expecting, I'm expecting him maybe tonight. But
some will say it's because he's Canadian that nobody's talking about him. But it was Indiana, not Catawba. Indiana was their best start in school history under Curtis Rourke this year. So, Coach, enjoy the draft. We'll be watching Tuesday night. Thanks for all of this. Have a great weekend.
Very good. See you Friday.
CFL on TSN's Jim Barker. We'll be right back with a sports update and all of your questions and comments the rest of the way on this Football Friday here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever you enjoy your podcasts.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have
doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Honky Tonk legend Mark Chestnut. Celebrating 35 years of music. Joined by special guest Aaron Goodvin. June 28th at Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Quiet day, as you can see, at Studio 23, where we're broadcasting from on this Football Friday. There is no hockey in this state tonight, but Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m., Battle of Florida rekindles Game 3, Panthers Lightning. Lucky you, it's just you and me the rest of the way to the top of the hour. 19 minutes of goodness. And I keep meaning to getting around to this and cracking one of these bottles of non-alcoholic wine. Let's get all buzzed up on sparkling red from Ones Plus, who sent me this shipment down here. There's this way. White Zinfandel, sparkling white. Maybe we'll have a big old time this. Son of a gun, we'll have big fun down here. Drinking non-alcoholic wine, watching Stanley Cup playoffs and NFL draft this weekend. Doesn't it sound great? Just need a big old bag of chips and Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle.
There's a lot of fun things. There's a lot of fun things going on in sports outside of what we've been talking about all day here for 2 hours, and we're going to get to that in a second. But this whole Oilers thing, it's nasty there in Edmonton. You might want to stay off social media all day and not listen to sports talk radio. With apologies to our friends up there It's just nasty. Everybody's getting each other all worked up. I'm as bad as everybody else, trust me. I just saw some Oiler fan meme site, however you call it now, saying, with a picture of Stan Bowman saying, imagine having two generational talents and putting the worst goalies in NHL history behind them. Holy smokes. Like, are you legit? Do you want the Oilers to win or what? Why do you say things like this? It's for damn sure the players and the staff better stay off social media. The problem is they won't. You know, back in the day, it used to be, don't listen to sports talk radio. And even before that, don't read the paper. But they do. They do because I know they do. I've been with them, the players and the coaches. Don't do it. It just pisses you off and it kind of tends to make them believe that the city's not behind them because everybody's crapping on them. Ignore it and go out and do your job. Easy for some, not so easy for others. Stay off social media today, folks, and enjoy the Oilers and the Kings tonight. That's the poll question today. Let me get an update on that. Are the Oilers done? It's just a question. Don't get mad at us for asking the question. Clark, do you have a body of work on YouTube? What's the vote on YouTube? 58% saying the Oilers are done. Let's remember, it's not. 86% say no on Facebook. Quite a disparity there. Sounds like election poll, pre-polling results. And Twitter. Let's throw that in there. What the hell? 66% saying yes, they're done. But let's remember, a lot of these voters are fans of other teams that just want to get in and muddle up their heads. Laverne is watching in Speedy Creek and writes in on the Progressive Insurance text line. 902-518-3033 says, Edmonton Oilers are definitely not done. And I just sent you the text at 111, which even makes me think they are still in it. They're not in it until the buzzer sounds at the end of the fourth loss, just so you know. I like this one from Brian in Hudson's Bay. He's got a lot of thoughts on the things we've been talking about today. He says, good morning, boys. Before we plan the parade for the Leafs, let's see how they handle a team that's actually a threat. Ottawa is just happy to be there, and the Leafs have needed OT in 2 of those games. I want to see how they perform against Florida. He says the Giants traded up late in the first round to choose a quarterback, and they never took Shadur Sanders, so that might tell you something. This is the thing and why guests like Jim Barker are so valuable, because he's been at the draft table in various leagues. To sit here and say that teams are completely staying away from Shadur Sanders because of his dad, we don't know that. As Jim said, it would be very tough to believe that that would even be the case. Not to say it's not, but for all 32 teams, there's got to be a reason. Maybe it was the kid's cockiness himself. Although, all you Oiler fans that are still watching, remember the great documentary, the great show, Boys on the Bus? Glenn Sather saying, I'd rather have an arrogant guy working for me than a guy that's a wimp. As would I. The brashness does not turn me off at all. But I could see how it might turn off some people. Turns off the meek, the mediocre. I want the guy that thinks he's the best. That's just me. Brent in Wellington, Florida writes in, he says, bipolar fans, Rod. My new favorite term. LOL. Where did you get that term? Did that come up when we were together? See you tomorrow, Brent. Bipolar fans. Rich in Edmonton writes in and he says, just like every fan base / media, there are idiots in everyone. Right. Do not paint everybody with the same brush. It reminds me of that Tampa Bay Lightning TV host we were talking about earlier. Daphne, I believe is her name. And she said, you wouldn't believe the amount of threats I've received just for saying the Brandon Hagel hit shouldn't have been 5 minutes. And I refrained from going into the replies to see what people were saying, but I've received multiple death threats. Multiple. And that's the thing that goes along with being somebody that's paid to give their opinion. It's not fun. Because the thing is, oh, just brush it off. They're not serious. How do you know? How do you know that they're not? That one could be lurking out there. Just because she said that she didn't think it should be 5 minutes, I didn't think it should be 5 minutes either. Rich in Edmonton says, boys on the bus still watch that from time to time. So do we in our house. Grets, see any birds? Sluts, see any birds? Well, hey, Wayne in BC writes in, and he says, I think there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. There is, and I'm going to tell you what it is right now. Confidence is believing that you're good. I'm confident. I know that I'm good. Arrogance is thinking that you're better than others. I don't think I'm better than anybody. There are those that think they are better than everybody else. They're arrogant. Confident, there's nothing wrong with knowing you're good at what you do. Believing that you're better than others, that's arrogant. You're welcome. We'll be back. It's just got spicy. It's just got spicy. We'll get to those comments when we come back here on Overtime. It's a Football Friday on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasting wherever the best podcast.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Shania Twain.
Let's go, girls.
Live in Moose Jaw. Shania Twain. One incredible show. Live at Temple Garden Center, July 7th. With special guest, Lindsay L. Get tickets Friday, March 21st at 10 a.m. at the Temple Garden Center's box office or sasktix.ca. For more, visit ShaniaTwain.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
All right, hockey season is over for a lot of you, but at Overtime Hockey Lanes, they go year-round, almost 365 as a matter of fact. Family-run business, Randy and Michelle at 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Overtime Hockey Lanes where skill and fun collide. Now 2 radar machines, monthly memberships, the best birthday parties in Calgary. Does it sound like something you might be interested in? Do I have you sold yet? Overtime Hockey Lanes has been with us a long time, and there's a reason. It's a fantastic partnership. So thanks, guys. Check them out this weekend if you're looking for something to do, and tell me how it was afterward. From the Albertans, as I don't know if we'll get to the sports update. What I will do is tell you that it's for Heavy Gym. Let's just get the sponsor read in. If anything, Heavy Gym brings you the sports updates, right? Step into the gym that is not just about lifting weights. It's about lifting your spirit, your strength, and your potential. Heavy Gym. Find out more at heavygym.ca. Better yet, stop in and see my guy Tony over there. He's gotten very large since the last time I've seen him. Greg in Calgary. Actually, 2 things. Chad in Lethbridge writes in. He says, the Battle of Alberta, Highway 3 starts tonight. Medhat versus Lethbridge Hurricanes. Going to be a great series. Greg in Calgary writes in. He says, hey, Rod, who do you have? Lethbridge or Medicine Hat? I'm going to say Lethbridge. What a series. You on Highway 3 are so lucky. Do you even know how lucky you are? I'm going to say Lethbridge because of the Braden Yager factor. I know Medicine Hat's got Gavin McKenna, but can I say he's a one-man show? Bill Peters versus Willie Desjardins. Unbelievable goaltending matchup. I'll say Lethbridge in 7. And this is where the Gavin McKenna train. Choo-choo. This is where it stops. Ron in Calgary writes in and says, the orders are done unless they win tonight. Thanks, Sherlock. Herb in Melville writes in, Rod, my wife and I got a meet and greet with Berkey. And he says, another great show. Have an awesome weekend. Thank you, Herb. Freddie in Winnipeg writes in, hey, Rod, good show today. You, Moose, your crew, and the guests were great today, people. Get off the couch. If you can't stream a game and actually go to one in person if you're able, so much better for your mental health. People in wheelchairs are so grateful when they go see one in person, but I digress. RP peeps, have a great, safe weekend. Go Jets, go. That's from Freddie in Winnipeg. And he is a subscriber to our newsletter. I don't ask you for much, but I will ask you to sign up for free at rodpeterson.com today. Brought to you by many great sponsors. You see the QR code on the screen. Scan it, sign up, and if you can't get enough of the RP show, you can get it on the weekend with my 10 things column, the Moose droppings column, some betting advice, hot takes, our best interviews. You'll love it. Nelson says, have a great weekend, RP. You too, bud. Ryan in upstate New York. Bomber boy. Colin in Ottawa. With regards to those death threats that I received, Colin says, if death threats keep you away from traveling to Prince Albert, are you really losing in life, though? Colin.
How about that?
Woke up today. He woke up today and chose violence. He's in Ottawa, and he's chirping PA. The death threat, well, one of them came from Swift Current, which I deserve. I lived in PA, bro. That's little Chicago. That's little Montreal. Don't talk about PA. Another death threat came from a Rider fan because I dared in 2001 to predict that we would be battling Calgary for the final playoff spot in the West, which we did and missed the playoffs. And I got a death threat. Got the cops involved on that one. John Barker writing in from the Pacific Northwest. Great show again. Love my daily blast of sports info. Thank you, John. I appreciate you checking in and being part of the discussion here every day. With regards to bipolar fans, Brent in Wellington, Florida says, Philly versus Green Bay. Cheered Hurts 1 minute, booed him the next. Guy leans over and says, how do you like our bipolar fans? LOL. We covered it all today, certainly football and hockey-wise. Last night, I was really... By the way, boys, I got to roll right after the show. Like, I mean, immediately, because I have a 2 o'clock appointment just down the street, so I got to roll. I just got sucked in by the NFL machine. I wish the CFL could do something of what they're doing with the NFL. I don't know if they can or will or not, but I would have rather have actually watched the NFL draft than the Panthers and Lightning. But I had to watch the Panthers and Lightning because I was on a Panthers postgame show last night. I kind of had to know what was going on, but the NFL just had me hooked. I don't know how they did it. It's like Tim Hortons coffee, the NFL. It's amazing. Not as excited. Yeah, Scott Moosejaw says Jackson Unger. Yeah, that's one of the goalies, right? And the other is Harrison Menahan, the former Warrior Jackson Unger. Yeah, I got to take Lethbridge. They got the experience. Yeah, so that's my prediction. Lethbridge in 7 of the East final. John writes in, RP Show rocks. Have a sportacular weekend. You too, John. Jeff the Stamps fan. Go Jets, go. Everybody, will see you Monday. Have a safe weekend. Where the hell's my pen? Ah, crap. I can't find it. To hell with it. Nobody's listening anyways, Clark.
How about that?
See you Monday.
Spicy.
Who has more fun than us?